Hey, what's up everybody, how's it going? I'm The Framed, and welcome to my build guide for the Assassin in Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction. Alright, so as the title probably suggests, this is my Kicksin, or Assassin that utilizes Dragon Talon as the main move, which, implies Kicksin. But before I get into my skills too much here, I'm going to kick things off here with my stats, and we're going to open up my inventory here as well, because my stats are very closely linked to my gear. So if we look at strength and my dexterity, essentially for those two skills, you want enough strength in order to wear whatever gear you want to be wearing. So I have 156 strength here. My highest strength requirement for my gear is 156. So I have exactly that much strength allocated here in order to use the gear. If I had 155, I would not be able to use Gore Rider's my boots here or my shield. So that's that. For dexterity, again, only enough dexterity to be able to wear the gear that you want, but also you need enough dexterity to have max block chance. So I have 221 dexterity right now. If I had 220, I would only have 74% block chance, and 75 is the cap. So get that up to 222 for me. Your gear, if you were to make this build, might be a little bit different than mine, so just keep in mind that you need to get your dexterity up to 75% block chance. And absolutely everything else goes into vitality, exactly nothing into energy. Everything else into vitality, because you need as much life as you can get, because you gotta survive. You're a melee character, gotta survive, right? Alright, so moving on here to my inventory, or my gear here, there is essentially three very, very important pieces of gear that you need for this build to really work, I guess. We got Flesh Ripper here, and Gilliam's Face, as well as Gore Rider. So these three pieces of gear have Crushing Blow. Crushing Blow is what's going to give you the damage that we have here. So if you look at my damage output here, 1400. That's essentially what it is. 1400 is my max damage for Dragon Talon. You might be thinking to yourself, wow, that's pretty terrible. Like, normally for in-game builds, you want like 10k or something like that. You know, you want something really, like a really big number. But for the Kicksin, it's a little bit different. The way the Kicksin works is a little abnormal. So the Kicksin attacks 4 times. At least I have it up to 4 kicks per ability cast, and the damage that you receive from a kick is different than an ability that actually uses a weapon. So I actually use my boots to attack because it's a kick. You don't attack with your weapon. You attack with your boots because you're kicking, right? So your damage output looks a little bit different here. And so if I were to have a weapon that had plus, max damage or something like that, it doesn't apply. It absolutely does not apply. I will put a link in the description to a website that shows what works and what does not work with kicks. Alright, so I'll put that down in the description so you guys can see that. But with these 3 pieces of gear, we are looking for Crushing Blow, because Crushing Blow, it kind of forget how it works exactly, but it takes away a percentage. It's like a quarter of health away from your target. So currently, with the build that I have right now, so Flesh Ripper, I think generally, or originally gives like was it like 25% chance of Crushing Blow? I forget, but I socketed it with a Burr rune, which gets Crushing Blow up to 45%. Then we have Gilliam's Face here, which gives me 35%, and Gore Riders, which gives me 15%. If you use your math skills, that equals 95%. So 95% of the time that I am attacking, I'm probably going to be getting Crushing Blow off, and that's going to be where a lot of my damage is coming from. And I also have open wounds on some of these pieces of gear as well, which gives me a little bit more damage. But Deadly Strike does not work with kicks, unfortunately. It does not work with kicks. Very sad, but that's just the way it is. So those stats or mods do not work, sadly. All right, so Flesh Ripper, Gillian's Face, Gore Riders. 3 of the most important pieces of gear in this build. Move on here to my chest. I have Fortitude on this assassin. For single player, you may also you could also use Chains of Honor. Pretty much the only other piece of gear or chest piece that you would really want on an end game character for single player. For ladder, of course, you want Fortitude. Shield, I have Sanctuary. You can go with a number of different shields. I found Sanctuary to be the best for me personally because of the resistances that I gain from using Sanctuary. But again, there are others that are more interchangeable, I guess, than some other pieces of gear would be. Move on here to my gloves. We have Soul Drainers. Soul Drainers is, in my opinion, one of the better ones because you get Mana Leech and Life Leech. Another switch that you could use would be Dracul's, but I prefer Soul Drainers personally. And again, we have Gore Riders over here. So for my jewelry and my belt, I have they're all crafted gear. You can see here, crafted gear. I'll go kind of slowly here. You can pause the video, of course. Just kind of go over these a little bit. They give me essentially what I'm looking for from these guys is resists, as well as life leech and mana leech, and that's essentially it. So with our belt and jewelry though, we can get a little bit of a switch with these guys. So I have Nosferatu's coil here, which is probably the switch that you would use for your belt. Is what I was using before I crafted this guy, as well as Ravenfrost for one of your rings. And the main reason to have Ravenfrost is to have Cannot Be Frozen. And if I was originally using this as one of my rings, but then I found a Chamrune? Question mark? Yeah, I think it's a Chamrune. And I socketed that into my Gillian's Face, which gives me, you can see it right there, Cannot Be Frozen. So I don't have to use Ravenfrost anymore. I can use a different ring that gives me slightly different stats. So if you don't have crafted stuff like I do, these are your good switches. I also have a Cutthroat over here just to show that off. Doesn't really give me the damage that I'm looking for because it doesn't have that. The Crushing Blow, of course. So, and Crushing Blow is very, very, very beneficial to this build. It is top tier awesome. I forgot to mention for my weapon switch, I do have Call to Arms here, so I have all the war cries needed for that as well. And see here. That is that for those things. We're going to go over my charms here as well. You can see pretty much all my charms are life and some other stuff as well. There's some resistances and stuff like that. And then I have my torch and Annihilus, of course, and some more life and resistances. That's essentially what I'm looking for in my charms. You're probably asking right now, why don't you have plus the skills? Why don't you have plus the skills? Why don't you have plus the skills? Well, that's because I don't really want that many plus the skills, and I'll get into that a little bit more right now, I guess. I can switch into my skills here. I'm going to start off with my martial arts skills. And the main reason I don't have plus the skills is because I do not want that many points into Dragon Talon. And you're probably curious why I don't want that. Well, it's because when you get this skill up to level 24, I believe it is, you will gain an extra kick. And when you keep putting more and more points into that, you will continue to gain more kicks. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you'll also be gaining more damage with your kicks. This is a melee build, alright, and this Dragon Talon works very similarly to the Paladin's Zeal as well as the Amazon's Strafe. As in, you are locked in the animation of the skill for the duration of the skill. And as a melee character, that can be a little bit dangerous. So I want to keep my kicks to a somewhat low number in order to have survivability. So I am sacrificing a little bit more damage for survivability. So that's that. If you are making this build and you want to get all the plus the skills you can, then go for it. If you want all those kicks, that's great. You know, do you. You know, but for me personally, I want to keep these to a relatively low number so that I have a little bit more survivability. All right, so that is that for Dragon Talon. This is our main attack, and some of you may be wondering, well, why aren't you using a charge up skill? You know, aren't these supposed to be used together, in conjunction with one another? No, I mean originally I think that was the plan, but Dragon Talon by itself does a lot of damage. It's very deceptive how much damage it actually does. And originally when I had started making this character, I was actually using Tiger Strike as a charge up skill, and then using Dragon Talon as my finishing move. And I found that I was doing more damage overall by just using Dragon Talon than I was charging up Tiger Strike to charge number 3 and then using Dragon Talon. The damage output was so different. It was just so much easier just to use Dragon Talon and have a bunch of damage really fast, and then instead of having to charge up Tiger Strike, because charging up Tiger Strike is essentially using a basic attack to get your until you get to your third charge, when you actually do quite a bit of damage with that. But I find it to be a lot more beneficial just to use Dragon Talon. Alright, so that's what I have found. If you want to use a charge up skill, you know, again, you do you, it's fine, but I'm telling you, this is where it's at right here. Dragon Talon. Alright, for Shadow Disciplines here, we have a bunch of prerequisites and some 1-point wonders and a few maxed. So, Claw Mastery, that's a prerequisite. We don't care about this one bit. Put 1 point into that and call it good. Psychic Hammer, again, that is a prerequisite, so put 1 point there. Cloak of Shadows, this is a 1-point wonder, and it is one of the main skills that allows this build to actually work. Because if you read it here, cast a shadow that blinds nearby enemies, lowering their defense for a period of time. So the blind enemy thing is the key bit to this ability. This build is purely, for the most part, purely a single target damage build. You can, there is no AoE. For the most part, there's a little bit of AoE because I do use Death Sentry, but Dragon Talon is a single target damage ability, which means you can only attack one target at a time. So, Cloak of Shadows blinds enemies, which means that it's crowd control, essentially. It's CC. It keeps other enemies off of me while I am focusing on a singular enemy. So, it allows me to not take damage from other enemies while I am attacking a singular enemy, if that's making any sense. Burst of Speed is pretty awesome. I get this up to 5 points. It's at 8 right now with my plus the skills, but I get that up to about 5 points, and that gives us enough attack speed, move speed for me to feel comfortable. 1 point for weapons block because we don't use, we're not dual wielding, so it's just a prerequisite. And this is a little bit up to you, the player, whether you use Shadow Warrior or Shadow Master. For this particular character, I decided to go with Shadow Warrior over Shadow Master. For the most part, they're somewhat interchangeable, but I decided to go with Shadow Warrior because the Shadow Warrior does use skills that you have selected, while as the Shadow Master uses pretty much every skill in the book. It doesn't really have much of a limit, and the reason I chose Shadow Warrior is because I can have my Death Sentry selected and it will use Death Sentry for me, so I don't have to use it myself personally. So that's that. I think the Shadow Master might be just a little bit better overall, but I decided to go with Shadow Warrior. It's interchangeable for the most part. Do what you want. Got Fade here. That's a prerequisite to Venom. And Venom, you max Venom. Holy cow, this is great. So you can see here that Venom is doing about 500 damage, poison damage, over 0.4 seconds. That is really fast. And you will notice that Venom is not showing up on my tooltip here, it doesn't show up. It'll never show up, but you can see the damage I'm doing here. Max 1400 plus the 500 damage here, but I'm doing 4 kicks at a time, which means every time I use this ability, I'm doing an extra 2k poison damage. So I'm doing another 2000 damage, poison damage that is, with every use of Dragon Talon. So do be aware of that. So I'm doing a little bit more damage than what this actually suggests. Alright, so that's that. Move on to traps here. And for traps, we're going to be using Death Sentry. It's the only trap that we'll be using. So we want to get Death Sentry up to level 20, but we also want to pump a few points into Fire Blast. And that is because it will allow, it's a synergy which gives more shots per 3 levels of Fire Blast. So I have Death Sentry up to, it shoots 10 times. I think that is 15. I think I put 15 points into Fire Blast here to get that up to 10 times, or to shoot 10 times. And you do want to max Death Sentry because it does improve the radius at which the corpse will be exploding, and that is essentially the main use for Death Sentry. We do not care that much about the lightning damage that it does. You can see it only does 293. That's nothing. Well, the only reason we're using Death Sentry is for the corpse explosion. That's it. That's it, guys. Corpse explosion. That's all. That's what it's there for. Corpse explosion. Nothing else. So essentially, I'm going to be doing a few runs here just to kind of show you my abilities and everything, how they work on enemies. But essentially, you just want to kill at least one enemy with Dragon Talon, and then you throw down a Death Sentry, and everything starts exploding. That's how the build works, guys. It's pretty fun. I didn't mention this at the beginning, but this is probably one of my most fun or most enjoyable builds that I have played. You know, it's not. Is it the best build? No. Is it the best clear speed? No. Is it fun? I think so. But that's that for my abilities here. And we will also go over my Merc here. And I have Breath of the Dying on my Merc right now. Another really good one would definitely be Infinity. I do not have an Infinity at this point on this character, unfortunately. Just haven't found one, or found the appropriate item as well as runes for the Infinity, unfortunately. Chains of Honor for my Merc as well. You know, it's just good defense, good everything. And then Vampire Gaze, Grimhelm for the life stolen per hit, and slower, and the cold damage. That's what it is. Yeah, the cold damage. And it is an Act 2 Merc, defensive Merc, which means it has gives me Defiance, which means I have even more defense. I am a melee character. I need all the defense I can get. So that's that. Alright, so that is the main stuff I need to go over for the build. I am going to be doing a few runs on some bosses and maybe a few rare monsters just to kind of show off how the abilities work together. So I will be right back. Alright everybody, I am here in the Frigid Highlands, and we're just going to go fight the unique pack that's right up here. Use my Burst of Speed, Venom, as well as get my weapon switch here. Use that to get a little bit more life. And let's go try this out. We're going to throw down a few traps here. Use my Cloaks of Shadows. Take on these guys. Got 1 corpse explosion, 2 corpse explosion, 3 corpse explosion. Everything's dead. That's pretty much how it works, guys. That's how that works. And that's just for taking on normal monsters. And we're going to go and fight a few of the bosses now. So BRB. Alright everybody, here we are. We are going to be fighting Mephisto here. And for the most part, you don't want to use Cloak of Shadows because it doesn't really affect, or it doesn't affect bosses at all. We're just going to kick them here and see ya, pal. Like, that took like no time at all, right? Pretty easy to take this guy down. And it's mainly due to the crushing blow that I have. Crushing blow does a lot of damage. Alright? So do be aware of that. And let's pick up this money here. Call that good. Alright, we're gonna go fight Diablo now. Alright everybody, we're going to start fighting Diablo here. Went around, killed all his minions, opened up all the seals, got him right here. And let's go ahead, throw down some traps again. Oh my gosh, really? Really, man? Alright, just gotta kick him here. Just gonna stand in his stuff because we don't really care about any of his abilities at all. We're just gonna start wailing away at him. We're gonna throw down a few more of those guys. And just start kicking them, and dead. See ya, man. Alright, so as you can see, the Diablo's pretty much a pushover. But let's move on to Bale now. Alright everybody, let's go fight Bale. See how this goes. Again, gonna throw down a bunch of traps, and just start kicking them. Shouldn't take too long to take him down. Already got him to about half health. The only problem is having enough mana. He does use that mana drain skill. Gonna pop a potion here. Throw down a few more traps. And should take him down in just a second. There we go. Hellbale, everybody. So, as you guys can see, it is not the fastest clear speed by any means, but I find it to be pretty fun. I'll put it that way. It's a fun build, and it's one that I want to do a playthrough for here on my YouTube channel. Full playthrough, just like I did with the boas on. At least that's my plan for right now. My plan for right now is to do a full build, or full playthrough of this build, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to do here for this particular video, for this build video. Went over my stats, my gear, and my skills, my mercenary. I think that's about it for right now. Hope you will join me in my playthrough for this character. But I am going to end things here for today. So if you like what you saw, go ahead and hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, advice, go ahead and leave those in the comment section. If you'd like to stay up to date with what I'm doing here with my Diablo 2 playthroughs, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also appreciate it if you go to my Facebook page, my Twitch page, and follow me over there. But until next time, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you all next time.